Skip it up and that up. Literally a month after the Nintendo Switch launched in the States, I posted a video where people were complaining that their Nintendo Switches were bending, presumably to heat, and they posted pictures proving that the console actually had a bend in it. Here are some of them. Yep, there's one that's definitely bent. Yep, that's bent. Yeah, I would say that one's bent too. And like I said in my original video, which I still stand by, is that I told people not to panic about this, especially now due to the internet and how fast information spreads. A minor problem can look very concentrated and very big when it comes to hardware, because say there's an article that has 20 different defective consoles in it. Those may be the only 20 defective consoles out there, but because they're all in one article, the problem may seem bigger than it really is. There's only 20 consoles that are defective, but because you saw one article with all 20 consoles in there, you're like, oh my God, the Nintendo Switch or the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X, it's a defective disaster, everyone run. But here's a problem with the whole Nintendo Switch overheating and bending thing, is that it's still going on. It seems to still be an issue, which again, I wouldn't be flipping out about, but I would start to be a little bit more concerned than I was back in April. Now, honestly, I thought the issue was somewhat isolated because after I made that video on Nintendo Switch's overheating and bending, I didn't really hear anything about it since. But as you're going to see with these pictures, it still seems to be happening. You can see the dates in the pictures. These aren't old. And yeah, people's Nintendo Switches are looking like they're starting to turn into boomerangs. Starting is the key word. They're not curving that much, but they're definitely curving. Take a look. Now here is someone's obviously bent Nintendo Switch. Of course, I took the names out for privacy reasons, but look, guess what, everyone? It happened. My Switch is noticeably warped, and you can see, yeah, that one's pretty warped. It's one of the more warped ones that I've seen. And look at the date, July 29th, 2017. So these pictures aren't old. Now here is someone else's bent Nintendo Switch. Now this picture's a little bit older, but it's still well after a month when I made that initial video on Nintendo Switch's bending. You can see the bend. It's not as extreme as the first picture, but it's still there. And they wrote, Nintendo America, my Nintendo Switch was warped out of the box. Bought day one. Loved Nintendo, but no quality control. Switch was rushed. That one's interesting because like he said, he got it out of the box and it looked like that. So that's something from the factory. And this doesn't just seem to be an issue with American stock of Nintendo Switch. These are pictures coming out of Japan. That's a pretty warped Switch too. And this picture was taken on July 27th, 2017. So it's not that long ago. And here is another defective warped Nintendo Switch coming out of Japan. This picture was taken on August 12th, 2017, and you could see the bend there. They have it laying on a table, and you definitely see that it's not even. You could see the curve of the Nintendo Switch. So there it is, folks. The Nintendo Switch bending problem still seems to be a thing months later. There's even more bent Nintendo Switch pictures out there. If you would like to see some more, I'll have a link to the Kotaku article below in the description. Now, again, err on the side of caution and don't panic because there are more Nintendo Switches bending out there. Keep in mind, just like I said before, this is an article that's dedicated to talking about defective Nintendo Switches, so it's going to have a bunch of pictures in it. This doesn't mean that there's like 2 million Nintendo Switches out there. There could be, but I highly doubt there's 2 million Nintendo Switches out there that have this bending issue. The thing that concerns me slightly is one of those pictures, the guy said he got it out of the box. He just bought his Nintendo Switch and it came out of the box bent like that. So that one concerns me because that could mean there's some issues going on with manufacturing right out of the factory, and that could lead to more large-scale problems. The reason why I'm also not concerned too, because if you think about it, yes, months later there's still Nintendo Switches bending, but if it was a widespread problem, don't you think from April 3rd, from when my original video posted, that if it was a big problem, we wouldn't have heard a lot more about it? Of course we would have. We would have heard a ton more about Nintendo Switches bending. So I still think these are isolated incidents, and I wouldn't panic. If something comes out again in like a few weeks or even like a couple months and we see a lot more Nintendo Switches looking like boomerangs, then it's time to be concerned and Nintendo needs to address the issue ASAP. I hope even with this small amount of issues with Switches bending that they're looking into what's going on, why they're bending, and how they could fix it and address it. So once again, don't panic, but pay attention. If you have a Nintendo Switch, you use it a lot, take a look at it. Is it starting to bend? If it's not, it's probably fine, and that's about as much concern I would put into it. This is Richard Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.